Okay, let's do one more thing, and then we can go have some Fosters. Sorry, we're still Americans. First thing I got to do is give away our prize. Remember, people who are using the mobile app, the top 10 put in a hat, and we drew out the winning name to get the prize of a night at the Hyatt Regency with access to the Regency Club, and it's Caroline from Diligent. Yeah, come on up here. I'll come down too. Here you go. Congratulations. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the leaderboard winner is, okay, let's move to the other presentation. So one of the main skills or jobs of customer success people is to set expectations realistically with customers. And so it's my job right now to set expectations realistically about the next 20 minutes or so. Because the agenda says, Dan Steinman's gonna talk about the future of customer success. I probably don't know any more about the future of customer success than any of you do. I'm not some kind of guru and I don't have a crystal ball. But we'll go through some things that I think I know enough to say, to talk about, and we'll crowdsource a little bit of it, and if we have time at the end, we'll do Slido as well. So let's jump in and talk about the future of customer success. I love this quote. It's difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. So I'm not gonna make a lot of predictions, but maybe a few trends. So I wanna get you guys to all participate in this. I know it's the end of a long day, so we're a little tired, but thanks everyone for staying, especially knowing that you were gonna have to listen to me again. I'm really thrilled that you all decided to stay. So let's do this. Which of these two things do you think happens first? Elon Musk takes wealthy earthlings to Mars, or your CEO, CFO go 12 months without asking you to justify customer success? Who thinks Mars comes first? Really? Okay. You think sometime soon your CEO is going to go 12 months and not say, how do you justify the headcount that's driving customer success? I don't know. I think Elon wants to go to Mars pretty soon, so I might disagree with that one. Okay, another question. Which happens first? University of Melbourne includes CS in their curriculum, or a company in Wagga Wagga or Infocargill buys a CS solution. Who thinks A happens first? Yeah? Who thinks B happens first? Okay. I had somebody that was actually from Australia help me with those. We knew it wasn't Sydney and it wasn't Melbourne, so I had to, and someone had to coach me on how to pronounce Wagga Wagga, by the way. Okay, which happens first? Pulse Europe moves to the Sydney Superdome. Sorry, that should say Pulse APAC. Or, sorry about that. Pulse Europe is definitely not moving to the Sydney Superdome. No matter what Brexit happens, we're still not gonna do that. Or we have AI bots doing meaningful CSM tasks. Which of these do we think happens first? I'm gonna argue that B is kind of happening already in a way. Even though it's not technically an AI bot, I look at the way some of our customers use Gainsight, and if you, here's an example. If we sent a new release to you, and 6 weeks later we noticed they haven't used a particular feature in that release, you're likely to get an email from us, an automated email that says, hey, we noticed that you haven't used this new feature. Click here to see an on-demand video, testimonial of other customers who are using it, et cetera. Now that's not an AI bot, but it's pretty darn close, right? It's like, or observing what you are doing or not doing with the product and encouraging you to do the thing that we want you to do. And I think we could pretty easily start inserting bots into that, especially if we get to the point where some of those interactions are more real time. That's where the bots typically come around. One more, I think. Which happens first? A B2B SaaS company goes public without a CS org, or Dan Steinman talks about CS for 42 minutes without taking a breath. I'm telling you, number B has already happened, so that one's kind of done. Letter A will never happen. That's my prediction. At least not in my lifetime, which may not be all that long, frankly. But I don't think a B2B SaaS company or recurring revenue business can get to the stage of going public without having a customer success organization. I've watched a lot of them happen, and every single public SaaS company in the world has a customer success organization. So if your CEO or your CFO or some other senior leader at some point says, I'm not sure if we need a customer success org, have them talk to me. Because when somebody, and CEOs ask me this all the time, I'm not really sure I need a customer success organization. My answer, a little bit cheeky, but my answer is, that may be true, but if it's true, it means that somehow you are smarter than the CEO of every single public SaaS company in the world. So you're smarter than Mark Benioff, you're smarter than Aneel Bhusri, you're smarter than Dave Duffield, you're smarter than Phil Fernandez, Aaron Levy, et cetera, et cetera. Unlikely that all of those successful SaaS companies that have gone public were wrong about needing customer success. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so. I think past performance in this case is indicative of future results. So past is prologue. I believe, and I shared a lot of this yesterday with some of you, but as we move through different business models, and we've moved from left to right in the last 50 years on this particular chart, today we're primarily in this subscription business model, but we are moving to the right, and we will continue to move to the right, and every single new business model makes customer success more important. So the subscription model is really what inspired the need for customer success. We put our customers on subscription. We have to take care of them because we got to earn 90% of the money that comes after the initial sale. Well, if we move to a consumption economy or an outcome economy, now we no longer have a subscription. Consumption economy means you don't pay for a subscription. If we were a consumption business, you don't pay for a subscription to Gainsight. What you pay for is when you use it, every single click. Think about it if we use Box as an example, or Dropbox. Today, if you bought Box as a company, you'd pay a subscription fee. Let's say it's a couple $1,000s a month. In a consumption economy, you pay nothing except when you download a file, you pay a penny. When you upload a file, you pay another penny. When you share a file, you pay a penny. That's the consumption economy. Think about that. Now, there's still a sales process to find customers who are interested, but there's no transaction that happens. No money changes hands. Not a single penny of revenue is earned until the customer actually starts using the product. So in other words, all of the revenue in a consumption-based business is earned through customer success doing their thing. And if we ever do an outcome model, it basically says, you don't pay me a subscription, you don't pay me when you use my product, you pay me only when you reach the promise that we made during the sales cycle. So if it was Gainsight, we might say, we'll help you reduce churn by 10 points. You pay me nothing at all until you reduce churn by 10 points. And then at the 11th point, you pay us half of the revenue that you saved, or the money you saved, and 12, you might pay more than that. In all of these models that we're moving towards, customer success significantly more important than it was before. And we've given all the power to our customers. Right? We used to make them pay up front. We used to make them buy hardware. They had to build their own data centers, et cetera. Today, we don't make them do any of that. Our customers don't buy our software. They lease it. They don't buy hardware. We do that. We put it in Amazon or Azure or whatever it is. And so our customers have all the power, right? We used to, when we sold perpetual license software, collect a bunch of money up front. Customer then has to buy hardware. They have to pay for a data center. They have to pay Accenture a whole bunch of money, and 2 years go by to implement the product. They're really trapped, right? At the end of that process, let's say it's 2 years and they're $10 million in. If some user looks at the screen and says, I don't like this UI, what happens? We solved that problem really quickly. We fired that user, right? You don't have the choice of not liking it. We're stuck with this for the next 10 or 12 years. Now we've changed all of that. Customers don't have to buy hardware. They don't build data centers. The vendor does all of that. And then we go and put the customer on a subscription. So every 12 months, they can look us in the eye and say, I don't think so. It's not working for me, right? So the customers have all the power, and guess what? They're not giving any of it back. It's going to stay that way. They're not giving us that power back. So what would it take to not need customer success? This is kind of an interesting question. If somebody thinks that maybe we don't need customer success, I'm going to talk about what it would take if we really did get to that world. It's all about the perfect product. So the perfect product, and I'm not joking, the perfect product would have to install itself. It would have to train users how to use it. It would have to report ROI every single hour back to the users. It would never allow a key user to leave their role, and it would give daily massages, right? I mean, you really need a perfect product to not need customer success. And we know this for sure because we've been through this in the customer support world, right? 70 years of technology, and still we ship software with bugs and defects. We still need customer support, someplace to call when something's broken. Onboarding and implementation are a huge business, billions of dollars, and billions of dollars are also spent on product training. So we're nowhere near a perfect product. 70 years, we haven't come closer to it. I'm not sure, we may actually be further away because we just build more and more complex products, so all the same challenges exist. It just means that customer success is always gonna be needed because we're never gonna ship complex business-to-business products that don't take some smart people and technology to help customers get the maximum value out of it. Human beings aren't suddenly tomorrow gonna say, you know, I really do love change. Let's change everything I do. I wanna do my job differently. It's just not how human beings are built. So there's no chance that we're gonna build a perfect product. So I can't really predict the future, but I think I can talk about some trends that are happening that are highly likely to continue. So I think successful companies have customer success teams. That's period. If you look at all the most recent IPOs in the tech world, every single one of those companies has a customer success team. These are just some examples of that. I think CCOs and VPs of customer success are ringing the bell. What that means is in the US, when your company goes public, a group of selected people from that company gets to go to Wall Street, and they actually ring the bell to open the market or close the market. And the people in the most recent IPOs of technology companies, some of the people on that stage from some of those companies I just talked about have been VPs of customer success or chief customer officers. And I know some of them, and I'm really jealous. I hope someday I get the chance to do that. I think that's gonna continue. Service priorities will have to change. You know, we used to do services to make money, and lots of very traditional software companies still count on huge margins from their services business. I don't think we can survive in the long run as companies if that's our mentality about services. I think utilization is less important, success is more important. So trying to make margin is less important than figuring out how to do services that help make our customers successful. Gross margin is less important than the outcome we deliver through those services. Implementation speed may become less important for implementation quality. There's just a whole bunch of things in this world where we've turned everything upside down, where services just isn't gonna look the same that it has in the past. Here's a few more trends. Process metrics and efficiency are more important than relationships, right? Customer success 5 years ago was a relationship job. When I hired CSMs 5 years ago, if I found that their greatest strength was building great relationships with customers, I probably hired them. I thought that was a really important thing, and it was. Today, I might argue that that strength is actually a detriment because great CSMs do not rely on building relationships. They rely on delivering value to customers. And if your greatest strength is relationships, then under stress, you're gonna try to fall back on that. This is just human nature. We fall back on our go-to play, right? Building relationships. And we're always gonna have more customers than a CSM can actively build relationships with. So if the fallback in any stressful situation is to go try to make friends with the customer or be friendlier, I just don't think that's gonna work. Another trend, customer marketing will continue to move towards customer success. And I think in the recurring revenue business, we have to continue to do marketing for customers, not just for prospects. Because what's marketing's main job is to drive demand, right? To build demand. Well, in a subscription economy, you have to build demand with customers for the product that they already own, because they have to buy it from us again and again and again in the form of a renewal. So if I own the retention number for a company, I'm gonna say to the CEO, I want 3 headcount to do customer marketing. because I want to control the voice and the frequency and the message of every single piece of content that goes out to my customers, because that's going to help me deliver on my retention number. Now, sales has been asking for years to get marketing to work for them instead of side by side. So I may not win that battle, but the point is I need influence and a lot of it over the customer marketing part of the marketing organization if I'm going to make my retention number. And that influence over marketing isn't to have them send a whole bunch of messages to customers saying, hey, I've got something else you could buy from me. That can't be the message. 9 out of 10 messages have to be, here's how you could use our product better, or here's something that reinforces that you've done business with the right company, that you're working with the right brand, et cetera. So I think customer marketing and customer success in many cases have already come together. I know several CCOs who have customer marketing reporting to them. If nothing else, they're definitely going to get closer together. Customer experience and customer success also come together both directions. CX is pretty common in the B2C world, becoming more and more common in the B2B world, and there's a lot of conversation about, is that the same as customer success? Is it different? Should they be in the same org? Are they competing with each other? I think those two terms might actually end up being semi-synonymous. They're certainly going to come together because you saw the equation. Customer success is the combination of customer experience and client outcomes. So these things have to come together. I think there will be continued refining of what we call tech touch. Tech touch is really important because there's no other way to do customer success at scale other than to be able to do it through tech, right? Technology is the answer to scale. It has to be, right? We're going to have so many customers, we can't afford to call a lot of them because they won't pay us enough money. It's one of the things about the SaaS model is it lowers the barrier to entry. So more and more customers come in, and they come in at a low price in many cases. So now we have this long tail. How do you do customer success? It has to be through tech touch, through email, through webinars, through community, anything that's one-to-many. This has to continue to be refined because we live in a world where we're always going to have more customers at the low end than we can do with people. More trends. This is not a new one. Proven ROI increases investment. You want more customer success managers? Prove to your CFO and your CEO that they're delivering real revenue to the bottom line, that the churn rate has gone from 17% to 10%, and 63% of our customers bought more stuff in the last year, whereas 2 years ago that number was 23%. Those are the kinds of things we need to bring to the CEO to get more investment in customer success. Technology clearly becomes a must-have. You can't do anything at scale without technology. At some point, Excel just won't work for you anymore. And all of us who are software companies battle Excel, right? It is like the tagline for every new startup company, software company in the world is, if you're tired of doing this in Excel, buy from us, right? It's just true. And so technology is absolutely a must-have. It's like we used to run businesses without CRM systems. That doesn't happen anymore. Everybody has to have a CRM system. So I think technology in the customer success space, it will become a must-have as well. You may build it, you may customize it in some other tool, but you have to have technology to help to make this work. Demand for great people will exceed supply. It already does. That trend will continue. That's why there's such great opportunities in the world of customer success, because the demand for your skills is far greater than the current supply, and that's not going to change. You know, if you're in customer success, if today is your very first day in customer success, a year from now, you'll be ahead of 80% of the people that are in this business. I'm not exaggerating. 80% of the people a year from now will have come in the last year. So think about that. You go 2 or 3 years as a customer success manager doing a really good job, you suddenly are in the top 3 or 4% from a tenure standpoint. And when your business is looking for a director, or the business next door, somebody calls you on LinkedIn, pretty soon it's a director title and a VP title and a CCO, right? You can move up really fast. And that has happened. The cream will rise really quickly. In a new category where the skills are pretty much not defined, if you can pave your own way and prove that you know what you're doing, you can rise up really, really fast. It happened at Gainsight. When I stepped out of the CCO role, we brought a woman in as VP of Customer Success. She was already in the company, put her in as VP of Customer Success. A year later, she got promoted to CCO. A year later, she got promoted to COO. And her next job, not at Gainsight, I don't think, but her next job will definitely be a CEO job. And that happened in 3 years. That's really rapid, and that's opportunity that's afforded to us when we're doing something new. We talked about this one before. Customer success has to be greater than customer success management and will continue to be. CS ops, if you don't have an ops team, sometime soon you probably will, because it's a little bit like sales ops. A good VP of sales will never get past 5 or 6 sales reps before he hires an ops person. And the ops person's job is just to make all of the sales guys 10 or 15 or 20% more efficient. You need that in customer success too, because we hire customer success people to interact with customers. And if they're spending their time pouring through spreadsheets and building dashboards and preparing their boss for board meetings and things like that, that is not a good use of their time. Those are things that ops people should be doing. So I think that trend, which is pretty strong already, is going to continue. In the US, very few customer success teams, if a company is more than 100 people, don't have a customer success or a services/customer ops person. It's equally as important as that sales ops job. The CCO title, I think, will continue to increase in importance. At the same time, I think the CRO title is kind of going out of vogue a little bit. And I think we've talked about this over the course of the day. The balance of power inside of our customers is shifting because the recurring revenue part of the business is bigger than the new acquisition part of the business. So by definition, if I own the retention number, at a company like Gainsight, right, we're only really less than 6 years into really selling our product. Already 65% of our bookings this year will come out of our install base in the form of renewals and upsell. 65%, so that's twice as big as the new business sales number. At Salesforce, it's 5 times bigger. It's over 80% of their business will come out of their install base. That shifts power inside of our businesses, right? The people running the retention business are more responsible for more of the revenue than the folks who are delivering new business sales. Now, that's not to say that new business sales still aren't important, still really important, but just financially, if you look at it, you say, hey, there's kind of a power shift that's happening. This will happen in the future. LinkedIn will know before you do that you're leaving your job. It's kind of a joke, but I'm not sure if it's a joke because, think about what LinkedIn can track. If you're updating if you update your LinkedIn profile more than 3 times in a week, the chances of you leaving that job in the next 6 weeks is probably like 80% or something like that, right? It's like if they could track you refining your CV, we would know that you're looking for another job. Customer happiness will disappear from our lingo. This is a personal campaign of mine. I hate it when we talk about customers being happy. When my CSMs say, don't worry, my customers are happy, my answer is I do not care if they're happy. I really don't. What I care is, are they getting value? Now, if you can tell me they're getting value and they're happy, that's really good. But if I have to choose one or the other, it's not happy, it's value, right? You could get one renewal because your customer likes you and because they're happy, but you won't get more than that because you have to deliver value. Because the minute the CFO says to your key user, what are we getting for the money we're paying your company or that company? Then the relationship goes away and happiness doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to save their job is actually proving that they're getting value out of your product. I think the future is that this pyramid will not represent the CSM career path. What I mean by that is this is a pyramid of customers, right? A small number of high value, high touch accounts at the top and a pretty long tail of low value, low touch, even tech touch accounts at the bottom. And what we often do is we bring junior CSMs in to manage that long tail, and we put our most senior CSMs at the top. That makes sense. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But think about this. They're literally, if I have a model like this, let's say I have 50 customers in that top tier, and they're all paying me more than $5 million a year, and they're companies like IBM and GE and Adobe, all those big companies. I could find literally millions of people to manage big accounts. There is a bunch of people who have done that. Lots and lots of people around who have done that for years. I could find a lot of people to do that. Now, look at the bottom of the pyramid and tell me if you know anybody who could manage 8,000 customers without ever making a phone call and deliver on a retention goal of 85% or something like that. That's a job that I don't know anybody who's really done that yet. I could argue that job is more important and more valuable because it's harder to find people to do it than that job of managing those big $5 million accounts. So I don't want this to be the customer success career path, because I think that's a mistake. They're not just junior people at the bottom. You need really good people to manage your scaling part of your business. And it's not to say they're more valuable, but they might be because they're harder to find. You might have to pay them more than you pay somebody at the top of that pyramid. Some company will make every new employee do customer success before they take on their real job. This is not a new idea, right? Somebody mentioned it earlier that they were at a company where every single engineer had to do support for a week before they did their job. Zappos makes everyone go onto the customer support team before they do the rest of their job. Customer success should be like that, right? Have everybody who joins a company spend a couple weeks doing customer success to understand what customers are doing, what they're frustrated with. That's a hard thing to do, but it would be good. And this is happening for sure. It's happening at Gainsight. Other parts of the company want and need ex-CSMs. We've had a number of CSMs move into other roles, one in product marketing, there's another one in product management. Elaine, who's many of you have met over the last couple days, went into our training organization. If you're good at customer success, you have a ton of value in a whole bunch of different jobs in the company. That's a great thing. And by the way, moving people around in your company is really good for your company, because having more people understand multiple sides of the business is a really good thing. I think maybe someday Pulse is bigger than Dreamforce. We're close. Yeah, let's hear it. We've got 370 people here today. The last Dreamforce was only 143,000 people. So, you know, you can see the balance shifting there somewhere down the road. This is the San Francisco skyline from about 5 years ago. Many of you have been there. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. The San Francisco skyline today looks like this. Yeah, it's a little bit obnoxious. It's a testament to somebody's own ego, probably. Anyway, so that's the Salesforce Tower. And maybe we don't really want to compete with this, but it is possible someday that this happens. I think I'll be long gone, but anyway, we can dream about those kinds of things. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear questions. If we have Slido going, we can put Slido up. I know we're out of time and the Foster's is starting to warm a little bit, so we don't want to wait much longer. But I'd love to hear what anybody thinks or if you have any questions. See if we can just do a couple of these quickly. Do you think product managers will eventually fall under customer success? Or should this be the case following the philosophy of top-down? It's a really good question. I think a good customer success person is part product manager. I refer to them as field product managers because they're out with customers all the time. But the difference is I don't ask customer success managers to try to design the new product, just to understand the challenge the customer's trying to solve. Product managers do the design and figure out whether we should even do it. Just because the customer wants it or needs it doesn't mean we should do it. So product management is a very different job, but I do think the connection between customer success and product management should be really tight. I'm a firm believer that the number one priority of every customer success manager is the quality of your product. I mean that the product is your number one priority. It's the only thing in your whole company that scales. And if you're not making your product every day better, then you're not doing your job as a CSM. Because you can't win a market unless your product is the best product. There's no proof point in all of history of anyone dominating their market without clearly being the best product. So focus on making sure your product is the best. One more and then we'll go. Imagine a scale on one end is technical product expert and on the other end is high-level business consultant. Which end of the spectrum do you see CSMs? This is going to sound like a real cop-out. It'll depend a little bit on the kind of business you're in, the complexity of your product. But probably CSM is kind of in the middle, because they're really both of those things. They don't have to be able to code the product, so they're not going to be deeply, deeply technical, but they have to be power users. Like I always ask my CSMs at Gainsight, no user should ever ask you a question about how to use the product that you don't know the answer to. You should be the best user in the world of our own product. So at a user level, really, really, really good. And you have to be a strategic consultant for sure. That's a large part of what customers want from a CSM is someone with domain expertise who they can invite to meetings that aren't about your product, but are about strategy, right? And who want to pick your brain about how we should organize the company around customer success and what should the comp plan look like. And I'm speaking obviously from our perspective. So I think it really is part strategy consultant, part power user. So I don't know if that's what you meant by technical, but on that scale, I think customer success falls kind of in the middle. It's not a TAM, it's not a salesperson, but it's somewhere in between. So if anyone wants to talk about some more of these things, we can certainly do that next door. But I'll just close the day by saying thank you so much for coming. Thanks for staying. We're really honored and thrilled to have this many people show up and to give us a full day of your lives, because I know you're all busy. So on behalf of all of Gainsight, I say thank you, and we will be back sometime in 2019 to do this again, I promise. Thank you.